The twin sons of Pandorath bled across the cliffs of Vera Skylands, painting the floating mountains in orange and violet. Wind roared through the stone arches and bioluminescent vines. High above, shadows swept through the clouds. Ikrans, the fierce dragon-like flyers that ruled the skies. Captain Elias Ward stood at the edge of a cliff, squinting through the crimson mist. His flight suit was torn, one side of his helmet cracked. Behind him, smoke rose from his downed shuttle. He was stranded, and he wasn't alone. Pathetic, a voice hissed. Elias turned. A tall alien girl stood a few paces away, skin tinted sapphire, eyes sharp like a hawk's. Her braided hair shimmered silver blue, and bone-crafted armor gleamed against her lean frame. On her shoulder perched a small winged creature that chirped nervously. The girl's lips curled into a smirk. So the Sky Thief survived the fall. Elias frowned. Sky Thief? You invaded our airspace, burned our sacred clouds, and killed 3 of my sisters, she said coldly. Don't play dumb, human. I didn't invade anything, my ship was shot down. She laughed once, a short mocking sound. Maybe you were too weak to fly. Humans always are. Her gaze flicked to the cliffs above, where a massive shape circled in the stormlight. Its wings spanned 20 meters, an Ikran, all black scales and amber eyes, lightning crackling off its tail. The girl pointed to it. That's Karal, my mount. He chooses his rider. Only a true pilot can master him. She stepped closer, chin high. So human, if you're a real pilot, prove it. Ride my Ikran. Elias's first instinct was to refuse. He'd heard the stories. Humans who tried to approach an Ikran were torn apart before they could blink. But something in her challenge lit a spark inside him. Maybe it was pride, maybe it was exhaustion, or maybe he was done letting fate mock him. He pulled off his cracked helmet and met her eyes. Fine, show me how. Her expression faltered, just slightly. You accept? I've ridden ships through plasma storms and black holes. How bad could a flying lizard be? She laughed again, but this time it was quieter. You'll die before you touch him. Maybe, Elias said, but if I don't try, I'll die anyway. She led him up a narrow path carved into the cliff. Wind howled so fiercely that stones rattled loose and vanished into the endless abyss. When they reached the plateau, Karal descended from the clouds, wings unfurling like sails of thunder. The ground trembled beneath his landing. His amber eyes locked on Elias, unblinking and primal. The alien girl, Tashara, placed a hand over her chest and whispered in her native tongue. Karal dipped his head slightly, growling low. Then she turned to Elias. He can smell fear. If you lie, he'll tear your heart out. Good to know, he said dryly. Tashara gave him a crooked smile. Say your prayers, pilot. Elias approached slowly, the wind whipping his hair. The Ikran's breath came out in hot gusts that smelled faintly metallic, like ozone after lightning. He extended a gloved hand. Easy, big guy, Karal hissed, tail lashing. Don't. Tashara started, but then stopped, because instead of attacking, the Ikran tilted its head. Elias froze. The creature's eyes flared with light, amber shifting to blue, and something rippled through the air, a pulse of recognition. In his mind, for the briefest instant, he saw stars, worlds spinning, a memory not his own. Tashara's voice trembled. Impossible. Karal lowered his head and pressed his snout against Elias's chest, an act of submission. Tashara stumbled backward. He accepted you. Elias blinked. What does that mean? It means he's yours now, she whispered. He hasn't accepted a new rider since my mother's death. The wind shifted, carrying her disbelief. Who are you, human? Elias looked up at the swirling skies. Just a pilot who refuses to crash twice. Karal crouched, lowering his wings. Elias climbed onto the creature's back, gripping the harness carved into its scales. The connection was instant. His heart synced with the Ikran's rhythm, his senses expanding outward. He could feel the wind before it moved, sense the heat of the sun beyond the clouds. Tashara hesitated, then leapt behind him. "Don't think I'm letting you fly my bond alone," she said, voice trembling between fear and awe. Elias grinned. "Then hold on tight." With a roar that split the skies, Corral leapt from the cliff. For a heartbeat they were falling, wind tearing at their faces, clouds spinning like ghosts below. Then the Ikran's wings snapped open, and they surged upward into the sun. The air thinned, turned sharp, electric. Corral weaved through the floating rocks, diving and twisting with impossible grace. Tishara's arms tightened around Elias. "He's flying faster than ever," she shouted. "He's not flying," Elias said, eyes shining. "He's dancing." Corral screamed into the sky and thunder answered. For hours they rode the currents, past waterfalls that fell endlessly into the void, past crystal caverns that reflected 1,000 rainbows. Elias felt alive in a way he hadn't since the war ended. Tishara was silent behind him, then finally whispered, "I mocked you. I thought humans were empty inside. But you—" Elias chuckled softly. "Don't ruin the moment with flattery." She laughed, genuinely for the first time. But their peace didn't last. A sudden boom split the horizon. 3 harvester drones emerged from the storm, black machines bristling with cannons. "They're from the mining colonies," Elias said grimly. "They track energy signatures, your people's beasts." Tishara's jaw tightened. "They slaughtered dozens last cycle." Corral shrieked, sensing danger. Elias gripped the reins. "We can lose them if we dive through the lower thermals." Tishara shook her head. "Too dangerous. The air currents would rip your bones apart." Elias smiled thinly. "You said that about riding your Ikran too." They plunged. The wind screamed louder than any engine. The air grew hot, distorted. Plasma bolts cut through the clouds, but Corral twisted between them, wings shimmering with bioelectric energy. Elias's instincts took over. Decades of combat flight training now fused with something primal, something ancient. He felt every twitch of Corral's muscles as if they were his own. "Now!" Tishara shouted, pointing at a canyon of floating stone below. "If we fly through there, we can trap them." They dove, threading between pillars of rock, each one glowing with bioluminescent veins. The drones followed, faster, more aggressive. Elias waited, then jerked the reins hard. "Corral, up!" The Ikran shot upward, spiraling around a column. The drones overshot, smashing headfirst into each other. The explosion painted the canyon in fire and gold. Tishara whooped with delight. "You did it!" Elias exhaled. "No, we did it." When they landed back on the cliffs, night had fallen. The moons reflected in Tishara's wide eyes. Corral rested behind them, wings folded, breathing steadily. Tishara turned to Elias, face soft now, no longer the mocking warrior. "In my tribe," she said quietly, "a rider who tames another's Ikran shares their spirit. Their bond is sacred." Elias looked away. "And what does that make us?" She hesitated. "Bound. For as long as the skies remember." For a long moment neither spoke. Only the wind moved, carrying the hum of stars across the floating cliffs. Then Tishara smiled faintly. "When I said you'd die before you touched him." He grinned. "You were almost right." Days later, a fleet of human ships appeared in orbit, scanning the skylands for mineral readings. Elias stood beside Tishara, watching them streak like silver lines above the clouds. "They'll come again," she said, "to take what isn't theirs." He nodded. "Not while I'm here." She raised a brow. "You'd fight your own kind?" Elias's jaw tightened. "I already did. This time I know who I'm fighting for." She reached out, her fingers brushing his. "Then maybe the skies of Pandorath still have hope." Above them, Corral roared, the sound echoing through the endless sky. And beneath the light of 2 moons, a human and an alien girl. Once, enemies, stood together on the edge of the world, bound by a single impossible flight.